but I can't tell you.
So now, could this nightmare of a war finally come to an end? President Trump revealing in an exclusive interview with the New York Post that he has spoken with Vladimir Putin by telephone about ending the war in Ukraine. Jack Keane, retired four-star general. General, good morning to you. You have been our guidepost throughout this entire war. Welcome back here on this Monday morning. To Miranda Devine, New York Post, he said, I hope it's fast. Every day people are dying. This war is so bad in Ukraine. I want to end this damn thing, end quote. Semaphore reports this morning that Keith Kellogg, the general, has apparently said that he will give 3 options to the president by the end of this week on what could possibly happen with the war. How do you see it? How do we end it? Can we do it?
Well, certainly to end it, you know, obviously the two parties got to want to end it. I know for a fact that, you know, Ukraine wants to end this war, so do their people, and they've actually made some concessions to accommodate that. In other words, they're willing to give up territory to Russia, the territory that they're currently occupying. Russia doesn't want to enter into negotiations right now. I think he will continue to talk to the president, maybe even meet with the president, because it gives Putin significant legitimacy to be dealing with the world's #1 superpower. You know, Putin is far from that status, to be sure. But Putin is going to play tough and likely will want some concessions just to go into negotiations. And I think we all have to know and recognize, I know the president knows it, that a ceasefire and some kind of agreement would just be a temporary pause in Putin's mind to returning to his aspirations to take control of Ukraine at some point. And that's what we have to recognize going into it. The negotiations will certainly be tough here, dealing with both sides. But, you know, this is, we're not just arbitrating a disagreement between two sides here. Putin started this war. All these casualties and deaths are on his hands. And obviously we want this to come out favorable to Ukraine and its future security. So that's got to be uppermost. I know the negotiating team, having had discussions with them at the Institute for Study of War, is very much aware of that.
Okay, the other thing in this New York Post article that sticks out to me, Trump says he wants to strike a deal with Zelensky, $500 million deal to access rare earth minerals and gas in Ukraine in exchange for security guarantees. I don't know what that looks like, but we'll see how that develops. Another topic quickly on Gaza. Roll this, Air Force One. Another question on that last night before the big game.
I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it. Other people may do it through our auspices. But we're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure that Hamas doesn't move back. There's nothing to move back into.
General, this going to work?
Well, one step at a time. The step in front of us is hostage release in exchange for prisoners. And to accommodate that, Prime Minister Netanyahu was pulling out of the Newsroom corridor, for our viewers to understand. That splits Gaza north and south from the Israeli border to the sea. So all those troops are being pulled out of there. There are troops still in the buffer zone on the Israeli-Gaza border and also on the Gaza-Egyptian border, the so-called Philadelphia corridor, where the smuggling is all going on. But that's a step in that direction to facilitate the release of more hostages. But we're on a collision course here. And the reason is Israel, at the end of the day, cannot leave Hamas in charge of Gaza and thousands of fighters still in place to reattack again. And the other side, Hamas, is not going to give up that governance without forcibly happening to them, and they're certainly not going to disarm on their own. These are the end states of the second phase of the operation, which obviously are opposed to each other quite dramatically.
Okay. General, we'll take your advice again, step at a time. Good to see you. Jack Keane, thank you, sir, for coming on today. Thanks.
Yeah, great talking to you.